Hey guys, it's Christian, your Vancouver realtor, and the topic for today's video is Bosa's FifteenFifteen, their new project, pre-sale, coming to downtown Vancouver. Look, I was in their pre-sales center, their show home, on Monday, just a few days ago, and I gotta say, I was really impressed. And I'm a hard guy to impress because I've been in dozens and dozens. I've seen it all, folks, but this one really kind of knocked my socks off. I'm going to share a little bit more about that with you, and I'm going to knock your socks off here first with the prices that they are going to be asking for this project, because I think they are going to be breaking some Olympic records here with the price point if they can do it. They're asking Manhattan prices. They're looking at about $2,000 a square foot. That's the starting number. And up to $2,500 a square foot and more for some of these really premium units. Once you get up to the high part of the tower, or what they're calling these observatory units. And I'll show you exactly what those are in a moment. So the studios here starting at $900,000. The bedrooms, and those studios, by the way, are about 400 to 500 square feet. The one bedrooms here, about 550, 600 square feet, $1.2 million to $1.5 million. That's a one bedroom. So now these do not come with parking. Parking is on top of that, $75,000. And GST, because it's new, on top of that. So you can imagine, like, the price point here is really steep. But you know what? This is the trend of downtown Vancouver. And we saw this going back to 2017, 2018. We saw the former Chevron gas station was bought by Anthem Properties for $72 million. And then a Chinese developer bought the White Spot site, and that was bulldozed just a few weeks ago. And they're going to be building 2 towers on that site. That was bought for $240 million. So they're buying these parcels of land downtown at such at nosebleed prices that the only way they can make a profit here is to sell absolute luxury units. So that's what we're going to see here. Their 2 bedrooms start at $2.2 million and go up from there. They're about 1,000 square feet to 1,200. And then they have these observatory units. And these can be anywhere from 1,500 square feet to 2,000 square feet. Price points here are $5 to $6 million. I should say a few words about these prices. These were the most recent quoted prices. When you go into a pre-sale center like this, we're feeling them out and the project, and they're feeling us out, and meaning all the clientele coming through to see how much interest they're going to get, how many requests those people are going to make to buy homes. And of course, they'll adjust their prices accordingly. So it's going to be a very interesting project to watch. I mean, are we going to see 2,000, 2,500 square foot prices downtown? I don't know. We'll have to watch to see where this goes. I will say this, that if a project is going to push the envelope, that $2,000 marker, I think it's going to be this one. The finishings in here are fantastic. The layouts are excellent. I mean, I'll get into the observatory units in a moment in a little more detail, but I think these guys could do it. And the reason I say that is I've been in several other pre-sales that have launched in the last several years downtown. There haven't been that many. And I have to say, I came away disappointed. I thought the finishing, the size layouts were average to mediocre. And those projects were asking $15,000 to $18,000, $2,000 a square foot. Most of them, the sales really didn't go anywhere. So these guys, I think, are swinging for the fences, and I think they may just hit a few grand slams with this project. I want to dive into, and if you want to learn a little bit more in depth on this project and my impressions on it, and I'm going to share that with you now as we go along. I guess the first thing you might say is, who are these homes for? Well, obviously they're not going to be for your average Joe and Jane. The reality is, when you're building, on Vancouver's waterfront, that's some of the most expensive real estate in all of Canada. It's just not going to be affordable for everybody, of course. And I don't think we should expect, market rentals on, Cole Harbour waterfront. It's that, that's in big cities, whether you're in Manhattan, Tokyo, Singapore, or elsewhere, you're not going to find that there. And I don't think that's going to be what you'll find in Vancouver going forward either. Now, that's not to say that this project is just for Saudi princes and Russian oligarchs, but I do think it's for the well-heeled, the global elite, people who have risen really high in their companies, executives, lawyers, doctors, people who run their own businesses. They're obviously going to be able to afford these types of homes. Interesting here, obviously well, you wouldn't know it, but it's the down payment here is going to be about 25% all in. So you're going to have about $250,000, $250,000 to $500,000 in this project until it gets built as your down payment. There's a long runway here. Completion isn't expected until 2027. And the reason for that is they've got the site is a small one, and they've got to dig deep, about 8 stories down into the ground. So it may take them about 2 years to dig all the way down in the excavation process. So just wanted, so that kind of explains why it's going to take so long to build this. But let's talk a little bit now, just some of the background, the neighborhood, and the project itself. So as you know, Bosa is a long-time builder here, 30 years in the business. They've got a great brand. Anytime you see listings on the MLS, and myself included, Realtors, we will often put in the public remarks, Bosa built. And there's a reason for that. Bosa is a brand. They've been around a long time. People trust the brand. If they haven't always built sexy, they've built reliable, dependable, and just good, simple floor plans, workable units. Now, this, of course, is them taking a couple of steps up, because this is premium luxury on the wall in Cole Harbour and in the West End. Now, on this project, a few things I wanted to touch on is, when you talk to the developer or you're reading about it online, they're talking about Alberni. Alberni is Vancouver's Rodeo Drive. Of course, Rodeo Drive is the glitzy street in Beverly Hills where the rich and famous will wine, dine, and shop till their heart's content. If you on Alberni, you're going to see a lot of luxury towers going up, pretty much all the way from the West End right to Burrard, where Alberni finishes. And it's true, as you get closer to Burrard, you will see a lot of designer shops, although I'm not too into shopping, so I can't name them all, but I think there's a Gucci there and a few other ones. Now, a few other points here. This tower is going to be, I think, is going to have an iconic presence on the Vancouver city skyline. I mean, it's going to be beautiful. And it kind of reminds me of, I call it the Jenga tower. So if you're familiar with the home game Jenga, it kind of looks like that, because you have, it looks like blocks protruding from the tower. Those blocks are actually what are called the Observatory units. There are 18 of them in this project. These Observatory units are quite special. Yes, I know they're really pricey, $5 and $6 million, but man, guys, they're good. I have to say, and I don't pass out those kind of platitudes lightly. We walked in, the finishings here all along the walls, they had wood paneling. You might call that wainscoting, or it was beautiful. It's really classy, high-end stuff. And nice high ceilings, 8, 9, 10 feet tall ceilings. So you feel really roomy and spacious. The floor plate there, 1,600 square feet for these observatories, for example, that's bigger than the main floor of most houses. So this thing's got a lot going for it. Even the one bedrooms in the studios are going to have 125 square feet balconies off the living room. So it's going to have a nice look and feel. I think if you were to ask me which units are the best, I think if you were just trying to get a one bedroom or a studio, obviously those are going to be the best in terms of price point. But what I like is the ones that are facing west towards a water feature. Today it's a water feature. They're gonna take some of that away and turn it into a plaza, and then there'll be some cafes and restaurants down there. I think that if I were going to be in the lower section of this tower, that's the outlook I would want to have. If I were going to ask for a view, I would want to be higher up, and want to be on the north side, because that's really the sort of the outlook there is finished. You're not going to get big massive buildings coming up to the north. Plus, you got a view, the green of Stanley Park, the blue of Cole Harbour, and I mean, how can you go wrong, right? Whereas to the east, west, and south, you've got towers coming up. To the south directly, you have, of course, West Bank's Kengo Kuma project coming up. So there's not too much in terms of views to the other three directions, if you ask my opinion. Now, so who designed this building? So they brought in this German starchitect, Ole Schereen. He's designed a number of sort of half a dozen famous buildings. He's probably most well known for this building. This is the headquarters for CCTV in Beijing. You've probably seen it. This is the same guy. Interestingly, he designed not only the exterior, but he also did the interior. Maybe that's why it took this project so long to get to the starting gate. But and the other thing about this tower that you want to note is that in most buildings, you know, the O2, Northeast, 2-bedroom, it's all the same, right? From the second floor right to the 42nd floor. In this case, no two floors are the same. So it's a very unique design. A few other things we want to point out is in terms of the finishings. I think I mentioned the wood paneling, which was quite nice. They actually brought in stone counters imported from Italy. The material is called travertine. And it looks beautiful. But what I was really impressed with is they actually have stone cabinets, soft touch closing. I was like, wow, these things could probably last you 3 or 4 decades. It just looks really durable and strong, and it looks good too. So it's really the quality of finishings here is high end. Obviously, they've got a lot of your latest tech gadgets where you can be adjusting, you know, the home temperature from while you're walking the dog or something outside. So, but you find that in most of the newer buildings these days. Concierge service, valet. You're coming down from the 23rd floor. You want to take a bike ride through Stanley Park. You can ask the concierge to go and bring your bicycle, meet you in the lobby. And I think maybe the coolest touch here is this sky lounge that they have on the 24th floor. They didn't actually need to do that. They could have parceled that off into 2 different units, sold it for $5 to $10 million. Instead, they have this lounge on the 24th floor that all the residents can use, including the folks in the studios. And it's pretty cool. It's just going to have nice high ceilings. It's going to have a nice view. And so it could be like rented out for, Thanksgiving, birthday parties, and events like that. Obviously, a building like this comes with things like air conditioning, closet organizers. I say obviously, maybe it's not so obvious. Most air-conditioned buildings, that's pretty new to Vancouver. We've really only started to see that in the last 4 or 5 years. Prior to 2015, I'd say 1 in 50 buildings has air conditioning, right? So not common. So if any project is going to push that $2,000 square foot marker, I really think it's going to be this one. I'm excited about it, and I'm interested in following its progress. We'll have to see how it goes. So it's going to be quite interesting. Parking here is going to be $75,000. Storage lockers, $5,000. There's no parking with the studios and the 1-beds. And a couple of things. Deposit here, 25%. So imagine if you're buying one of these $2 million units, you're going to have $500,000 tied up for as long as 6 years, perhaps, because it doesn't complete until 2027. So this is a long time frame. I do not recommend this for people who want to invest. It's this is a very high-priced product. This is an end-user type of product. This is something you want to live in for yourself. I do not recommend this for somebody who wants to buy it and flip it, even though there's a long timeline, because in a slower future market, these high-end luxury units can be really hard to sell because there's just not as many buyers for them, right? I mean, you got to have wads of cash. Assignment fees here are 3%. So imagine you're trying to assign a $2 million unit. It's going to cost you $60,000. Plus, you got to get the developer's approval. They've gotten very strict these days about letting buyers assign their pre-sales. It's not like it used to be back in maybe even 4 or 5 years ago. It was quite easy, not now. So those are just some of the thoughts I wanted to share about this project. If you have any questions, comments, you can feel free to get in touch with us. I think we pretty much covered everything. Hope you enjoyed this video, you found it of interest, and let's see what happens with the price points in downtown Vancouver and specifically this unit.